Hey everybody, so we're going to run quickly through Flipgrid today, and so we are actually going to break this video up into two parts. I'm going to show you Flipgrid and how to create an assignment or a topic in your grid, but I'm also going to create another video on what your students should be doing when they answer a grid. So I have already signed into Flipgrid, and you can see that there's multiple grids on my page as I collaborate with many different classrooms. And so some might ask on how do I make a grid? Why would I make a grid? Well, it all depends on what you teach. So what I tell my teachers is if you're a high school teacher, you may want to make a couple grids per course that you teach. If you have an economics course and a global course, then you might make a grid for each one of your courses. If you are an elementary teacher, you might want to start out with just making a fourth grade grid and putting all your assignments in there. And then maybe as you get more comfortable, you might want to switch it up per subject. So that is up to you. But whenever you get into your Flipgrid for the first time, everyone has an Our School Community grid that is automatically made for you with an introductions assignment. So I am going to go through how to make a topic. So before I do, we're quickly going to talk about our flip codes. So we have a flip code at the top. Notice that it's under the grid, and so that is the code to get to the grid. I want my students to see all of their assignments, and so they're going to put in the code to the grid. But then I also have flip codes next to the assignments. Those codes are specific to the assignment. So instead of seeing all the assignments, I want them to go right to the one that I have assigned, and so they will put these codes in. Okay? But today we're going to have a new topic, and so that's exactly what I'm going to push, that blue button that said new topic. And we're going to quickly go through and build the assignment. And so what I encourage people to do is think about their assignments that they do on paper pencil and just now put that on digitally instead. So the topic title is, what is your assignment? What are you doing? And so if we are doing an animal research project, I might name this animal habitats. And so my students might be researching animals, and I want them to share out specifically the facts that they've learned about their animal's habitat. And so that's going to be our assignment for today. A topic tip is just a tip for your learners. I'm going to leave that blank today because I don't think necessarily a tip is needed. Video response time, very self-explanatory, but you can change how long their response can be. But when it hits this time, it will turn the video off. So you want to make sure that you give your students enough time to share what you're asking them to share. Otherwise, they can't keep going. So the topic description is simply the directions. So whatever I would type of the directions at the top of my worksheet, I'm going to write here instead. So we are researching animals. Today, share what you have learned about your animal's habitat. Share at least 3 facts with your friends. Sorry, my spelling is not so good today. Okay, so very simple directions, keeping it short and sweet, but you can add up to 500 characters if you want to add more detail. The next section is video privacy, video moderation. If I leave this off, then all the video responses from students are available to each other. However, if I turn it on, I will need to watch the video first before others can watch it. And so that might be used if it's used as an assessment. You will not want your students to hear answers from their peers. Or if I'm worried about the appropriateness of maybe some of my students in my class and I want to watch it to make sure that it was appropriate and ready for others to hear. But I'm going to leave this off because I want my students to be sharing with other students in the class. So I can change the status of my topic. I can freeze it or I can hide it if I don't want students to see it anymore. And I can also launch and freeze dates. So if I'm creating this assignment but we're not actually using it till next week, I can change that date. Or if it is an assignment and I want to put an end date, so you must complete this assessment in the next 5 days, I can do that. And so let's do that. I'm going to give you 5 days to share about the habitat. Topic resource. This is a fun section. So this is going to be an eye grabber for your students. And so it shows you can do a video, an image, a GIF, an emoji, a video, anything to engage the students to your activity. So I am personally a fan of GIFs. And so I am going to, I can type in anything, and so I'm going to put in a lion den. Let's see what comes up. So there's a bunch of different stuff. Oh, but there's a lion. Perfect. And so I can put a lion on here. Kind of reflects our topic a little bit. And it's eye-grabbing. It's interesting. It's going to get their attention. Topic attachments. This is a great feature, especially for older students who are using a lot of references for their assignments. You can add up to 9 attachments. And so if I want to have my students watch a video on YouTube describing the different forms of habitats or the different types of habitats, I could attach that. If I have an article about habitats that I want my students to read before responding, I can attach the link to that website, and then I can give it a title and put it here. So let's do that actually. Let's go through. So I'm going to quickly Google types of habitats. There we go. And it brings me, to Discovery Education. Personal favorite. Okay, so here's actually an activity about habitats. That's not necessarily what I wanted, but here's a National Geographic. All about habitats. Oh, that's perfect. And so I want this to be available for my students. So I'm going to copy this link and add it as an attachment. I'm going to paste that link right in there. Animal habitats. And that will be in there. Okay, video features. So depending on your class and teachers, you know your students, you know what they can handle. At the end of their video, they'll be taking a selfie as a thumbnail for their video response. And so they can draw on that selfie, they can add stickers, or you can change the options. If you would like to do some specific teaching on how you want them to be using these, you could turn it off until you've taught them how to be appropriate with these different features, if that's something you're worried about. And then you have some additional features that you can turn off if you would like. The student replies, I often turn that off if it is an assessment. Hopefully they won't be seeing their score, their videos, or if they're sharing something that's personal. And I might not want students to necessarily reply to each other, but I do want them to be able to hear each other. And so those are features that you can turn on and off. And finally, we have feedback. And so I can do basic feedback and just give a video message to my students letting them know how they did. Or I can custom feedback and create a rubric, which could be very handy, especially if you're doing standards-based reporting, or if you use rubrics to score your students. You can build that right in here. So those are different options. I'm going to stick with the basic feedback for today and create my topic. So my topic is ready. So they are giving you the code to this assignment, and so you can share that either digitally if you have an online classroom that you use, or you can simply write it on the board and students can type it in. Got it. So now here is my assignment. So it's just like my worksheet, just digital. So we have our title, We have the directions. Here's my animal habitats website that I want them to go to. And there's no responses yet, but as students reply, those videos will come up on the bottom, and I will show you that with another assignment. And here is your flip code again, so you don't have to worry about forgetting the codes that you get. You can always come back in and get them later. Okay, so that is how you create an assignment. I hope you have enjoyed learning about Flipgrid. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me on Twitter at lsimpson1220 or listen to my podcast, The Next Step, with co-host Caitlin Bowen. You can find it on all your favorite podcast networks.